We're live. Hey, YouTube. How we doing out there? I'm an Albuquerque friend of mine who I became friends with in Florence Federal Prison Camp in Florence, Colorado. And Tom got out about a year before me, I guess. And he always told me he was going to look me up when I got out. And sure enough, he did. Tom just got off his 3 years federal probation. And a lot of you guys out there that ask me questions about pretrial and all that, Tom probably can help you better than I can. Tom's been through it all too. And Tom, you want to talk white collar crimes and all that, Tom's been there. He finally free to talk. He's off probation. Anyways, I'm going to let Tom talk. Tom, say hello to YouTube.
Well, thanks, Sean, for what you're doing for those special ones of us who have gone through, I guess, the most horrible thing that anyone can go through. If you hadn't been through it, you have no idea what it's like. And it's just impossible to even tell somebody what it's like. We knew it'd be horrible, but it's worse than horrible. But, you know, we do survive. And there are many silver linings to this process that I didn't realize. But Sean, I just want to thank you for your dedication. Doing these YouTube channel informational pieces has been something that I wished I'd had 9 years ago, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, when I was going through pretrial. You know, I was in the fog that happens after they come visit you and tell you that you're going to prison someday and indict you and arrest you. You know, I really didn't understand it, frankly. I was in shock, literally in shock, mental, emotional shock. You just sort of shut down because it's something that you're just not comfortable. You've never dealt with this before. You've seen it on TV. You've maybe had friends or family that have gone through it, but until you go through it, it's something surreal. And what you're doing, Sean, is helping people kind of get a grasp of what to expect, answering some questions. There are a lot of questions. The process is different for everyone. Everyone goes through a different process, I think. But generally, I've been watching your YouTube videos, and you got it. You're the real deal, Sean. And not many people care enough to come out and do this. And I appreciate you doing this. So
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I know it's been a long journey for you, as it was for me. You know, probably when you were going through your pretrial stress and all that, I was too. You know, I don't know which one of us got sentenced first, but mine was May of 2017. Do you remember when you had to turn yourself in?
February 10th, 2017.
Okay, so we're right around the same time. Now, I got my house raided in 2011, indicted in 2012, and finally sentenced in 2017. And it was 4 or 5 years of all that. You too?
Well, I'd heard this might be coming down on other people. I'd never suspected it would be me. It was a shock when they came for me.
Tell me about it.
It's like, something it's like in the movies, which is crazy, but all of a sudden you have all these feds there and they're telling you they're taking you and you're trying to figure out why, and they don't tell you. I didn't know till the next morning exactly why. I knew there was some stuff going on some projects that I've been involved in, but I didn't know it affected me. But I soon learned that everyone who gets involved is put in a pressure situation of having to give up evidence or cooperate, I guess is the word.
Yeah, that's the word they use.
If you don't cooperate, they put more pressure on you.
Yeah.
And it's a process I went through for a couple years, and I never really thought I would be sentenced. I went down to just a couple days before the trial, and of course, all 22 people in the trial, witnesses and defendants and people involved, they all made these
Somebody
deals.
in the room too. Sorry, go on.
That's okay. So they all make these deals, and so you end up being alone, and
Alone.
you're fighting this deal alone, and all of a sudden people are saying things and making deals, and and you don't know about it. You suspect it, and then you hear about it. And it's a crazy process, Sean. You know.
Oh, I know. In this grand jury, there's a trial, and I don't get invited. I find out after. I'll never understand that.
Yeah, a federal conviction is much different than a state conviction. We all know. The feds are tough, man. It's the jaws of the alligator. They get you, and you think that it's about truth and fairness and justice. I mean, I'm not saying we're all innocent. We've all done whatever we've done, but a lot of times what they're after us for isn't what we've done. But it doesn't matter. They're going to get you on something. They can get you on the least little deal and still create a.
They only need one charge, and they don't even have to have. They only need a suspicion. Got a couple people in the room, so guys, this is Tom. We did time together, and if you have questions, guys, put them up there. Tom just got off probation. He did his prison sentence, everything. He's a free man. So I know I went live. Like I didn't normally. I give people a heads up and stuff. So, but this will be they can all watch it after. So the beauty of going live is I don't have to edit later. I don't have to upload it and process it and wait. It's just recorded. It's a lazy way to do it, but anyways, yeah. Man, I'm telling you, pretrial was just living hell. Did you? You didn't even know about RDAP, right? You could have gotten that had you known about it. Your lawyer didn't know. It didn't help you.
Well, lawyers are lawyers. I mean, there's paid lawyers, there's public defender lawyers, there's court-appointed lawyers.
So having been through all that, do you recommend somebody paying for a lawyer or using a federally public appointed lawyer?
Well, every case is different. I mean, there is a small chance you can hire a lawyer and prevail. But the cost of that is enormous, and it's open-ended. They can tell you 25,000, and all of a sudden it's 100,000, or it can be 100,000, and all of a sudden it's $500,000 of legal expense. If you don't have the money, you're stuck with either a court-appointed attorney or a public defender, and I can't really say that either one is better than the other. The feds are strong. I mean, they have immense resources, and they.
Unknown caller.
Let me turn that off. Sorry.
It's count time. We got to go. Recall.
Yeah, the legal process. We all have this false impression of what the legal process or hiring a lawyer can do for us. Of course, we're wanting to believe we're innocent. We're wanting to believe we're not guilty. But once they have you in their sights, I mean, very few people that are engaged in whatever you're engaged in don't have something that the feds can sink their teeth into. So if they want you, or if they want one of your associates or somebody or hang around with or do business with or do good things with or do bad things with, all the people around you can pull you into a case. And that's what I found. And what surprised me the most is people who were really the target of my investigation pulled me into it.
The rabbit hole, huh?
Yeah. So you can think you're innocent, you can think you're not involved, but just by association, just by being in the room.
Guilty by association. Yeah.
Just by going to the meetings, just by hanging out.
Looking the other way.
Talking on the phone to people,
Yeah.
Chatting on the computers, being seen. I mean, once you're in their sights, they're gonna
Yeah.
they're gonna look at everyone.
Feds want you. They're gonna get you. Yeah.
So, it's very important that you realize that people around you may very well be doing something that is indictable, criminal, and you may not, but by your association and your involvement with them, all of a sudden you can get pulled in. And
when you get done, we got a question. If you got time to read that, you got a question maybe.
I'm a UK doctor and worked in Jacksonville, Florida in 2013. Watch your channel a lot, and seems like the justice system is messed up in the US.
Yeah,
well, it's the best system in the world, we hear. It works most of the time, but the justice system, you don't want to criticize it too much because you might raise their look again. But it's boy, it's a tough system, man. The guns are coming at you, and you're confused, you're in shock, you're in denial, you're hoping that a miracle happens, and so you really make a bad situation worse in most cases. And that's why programs like what Sean's doing are going to be helpful, because it's going to give you a little chance to get a perspective on what's going on and maybe make better decisions. I mean, I made a lot of bad decisions, and I was naive. I assumed the justice system meant justice. I assumed that innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, no, normally in a state court of law, but not a federal court of law. I mean, you kind of are. I mean, you get indicted. You supposedly that's true, but how come I get indicted and I got to be on pretrial, and they, it's like a probation officer, and they treat me like I'm on probation, but I thought I was innocent until proven guilty. So why do you have pretrial? And the grand jury already accused me.
Well, what's interesting, I started to research a little bit about my grand jury process, and I soon realized that they have no obligation to be factual when they go to the grand jury. You don't get a chance to defend yourself,
right,
when they go to the grand jury.
They don't even need evidence, right? Just hearsay, suspicion, all that stuff works.
It's a pretty low bar to go to the grand jury and indict you, and the grand jury is pretty much controlled by the system. And so, I've never heard of the grand jury saying, "Oh no, never mind, don't worry about those guys." Yeah. Seems like it's just a slam dunk for the most part that they're gonna.
And who are these jury members? They're not my peers, obviously, but they're hand selected by the feds, not by our lawyers, because.
Well, it's crazy because they pretty much always go along with what the system wants them to do. But it's secret and you don't have access to it.
Yeah.
So, if you're in the sights of a federal investigation, I think you have to start talking and asking questions and negotiating and, trying to deal with it head on. I tried to do that to a little degree, but I soon realized that, I was just making my situation worse. But there's no right way to do this. Lawyers will give you different opinions, but the lawyers, the other thing I learned is lawyers are the officers of the court.
Yeah, true.
So their first loyalty is to the court system. And the court system has an immense amount of power over them. And they're very loyal to and very obedient to the court system. You think you hire a lawyer,
and you think he's on your side, and he's going to treat you like a relative, and he's taking your money, so he's going to say everything you want to hear. But at the end of the day, you're just a client, and you just help pay his mortgage. I don't think he really cares more about you than the guy crossing the street that you never saw before.
Well, we get conditioned with all this drama on TV of these lawyers doing this wonderful job of getting people off, guilty or innocent. And so we have this impression that when we hire a lawyer, we got an advocate that's like a lion.
Yeah, you got a fighter out there. Well, I think if you hire a lawyer that's been around 30, 40 years in business, he's done burnout. You're just a paycheck to him. But maybe if you get somebody fresh out of law school, it's still eager to make a name and all that, they might just still care. I'm sure once these lawyers been around 20 years in the system, they don't care anymore. They really don't. I don't think they do. I mean, unless you're a nephew or a relative of them or something, they might. But I think one right out of law school, I don't know. That's what I kind of been telling people.
Well, you know, I don't have a lot of faith in lawyers saving you once you're in the sights of a federal prosecution.
Oh yeah, they can't save
or indict you.
for sure.
They can process the paperwork. They can keep you organized, but you better be very good at defending yourself. And you better, unless you have a lot of money to hire investigators and various research people and to put together your defense. You know, I was surprised how much work, time, effort it takes to prepare a defense. I prepared my own for the most part, and I took 2 years, and I had two people helping me. And at the end, we didn't use any of it because, you know, they basically said if you use that, it's going to be worse.
Got another question. Who's that? The traveling? Can you read it? The traveling?
The traveling NP Mark Hill pled guilty to conspiracy to commit Medicaid fraud because I ran out of money. The federal system is corrupt to the core.
I think I've talked to him on the phone.
You know, I don't know how I would classify the federal system. You know, I can't really say in my case there was corruption on the federal side, but I can tell you that those guys are aggressive. Yeah. And they go after you with, you know, there was a team of 10 or 12 on the team going after me, and they have big resources. And so, you know, I don't know. It's a street fight when you're outnumbered.
Yeah, I had plenty of special agents coming over my house. There was a team of them, and they had just specialized departments within their team, you know. Yeah.
So I couldn't say it's corrupt as much as it's just one-sided and overwhelmingly stacked against you. And you want to hope that justice prevails, but they're going to get you and they're going to put you in prison. And that was a hard thing for me to understand. I never understood it until, you know, I self-surrendered. I mean, and, you know, I kept thinking that something was going to save me or something was going to happen, but it's, I could have handled it much better if I would not been so naive, if I had been better educated, if I had been emotionally stronger, if I'd had better advice and resources. You know, so there are a lot of tools out there you can use to make it better. You know, everyone wants to say, well, I'm innocent, I didn't do that, but, you know.
Everybody's innocent. I had no problem saying I'm guilty. I did it. But, you know, I was one of the few guilty people in prison.
Well, you know, I worked in the jailhouse legal program when I was incarcerated. So I got to talk to all the inmates who were trying to put together appeals or do motions to modify their sentence. And, you know, in my 35 months there, I never saw one prevail.
Never?
One.
Tom spent a lot of time in the law library, guys. So what's that question? He asked another one. Something I was totally blind to the conspiracy.
Yeah, so was I. But I was there. You know, ultimately, my conviction was for aiding and abetting because I knew what was going on, and I did. And, you know, when it comes to doing business deals, you know, business is not patty cakes. You know, it's aggressive and tough. But you better watch, because if things are going on that have the potential to create legal peril, and you're in the room, you're in the car, you're in the restaurant, they're your associates, friends, acquaintances, you're in the chain. You're in the chain of who's going to get talked to. And unless you're squeaky clean and, you know, they're going to find something to put some pressure on you. And or your family. I mean, they're phenomenal for putting pressure on, spouses and kids and mothers and fathers and everyone that you're close to, that you can imagine the pressure that goes on those people as well. So
No, I had a fiance and they pressed her and stuff, and she ended up getting time. She probably could have not had any time, but David wanted her to wear a wire on me and everything, and she told them what they wanted to know about me, and then they charged her too. So, yeah, they're.
I mean, if you're listening to this, it's probably too late for you to, be defensive and figure out that you may be in a situation that's problematic. But, and so now that you're where you're at, what do you do?
You got a lot of people getting ready to get sentenced, fighting with their lawyers. And one guy called me the other day and he says, my lawyer said there is no RDAP. And I asked my lawyer, am I going to a camp or a low? And his lawyer told him, there are no camps in the feds. And he said, what about RDAP? He says, there's no programs. I said, really? What kind of lawyer? And then, he looked it up on the BOP website and showed his lawyer these camps, these RDAP programs and stuff. I don't know. And he said this lawyer has been dealing with the feds for 30 years. I don't know. It's hard to believe that a lawyer would have told him that. But
Mark,
their lawyers won't answer half of their questions, because they don't want to be bothered. You're a nuisance.
Well, Mark had a better experience with his lawyer. He says he had a good lawyer, and they were trying to get him 7 to 8 months, and he ended up with 9 months. So that's a good outcome.
That's a good outcome.
Yeah, if you can get 9 months in a federal process, like we've been through, that's great. That's great. Good for you, Mark. You're one of the few that I've ever met. I've met a lot of people in this game that has had a success story like that. So I don't know if you're on the beginning or middle or end of that.
There's a guy named Brian. I don't know if he comes on. He just got a year probation, but he was in that zone A to begin with. But still nice to know that it's possible only to get probation. But his offense level was a 6. So, you probably didn't even know what an offense level was when you started this thing, right? Let alone a custody level. Do you know now? Custody level and offense level, do you know the difference?
Don't know, don't want to know.
So you guys out there, your custody level, offense level. Offense level is where they're going to send you, penitentiary or a camp. So your number system, 11 points or less get you into a camp. 12 to 16, a low, 16 to 20, a medium, and then anything. And then your custody level is where they're going to. I'm sorry, I got it all wrong. Offense level is how much time you're going to get, and custody level is where they're going to send you. What I just said, the 11 points, that's your, I forget sometimes, that's your custody level. Offense level is how much time you're getting. So, yeah, the lower the number on either one is better. So,
well, if you read those guidelines, and I read them beforehand, it's pretty hard to decipher them. There's a lot of
and it has 6
complexities.
Criminal history categories, and yeah.
It's complex, but they'll work it hard against you.
So let me fast forward. Do you remember your first day going to prison?
Oh,
can you tell these guys about your first day?
Well,
you got the self-surrender, right?
I thought that's a good thing, but I just got to say this: the sooner you can get to prison, the better. Because every day that you can get there is a day sooner that you'll get out of there. And prison is horrible. It's worse than horrible. Yeah, you can get by. We can survive it. But being, incarcerated, being taken away from your family, having your integrity and your self-esteem pretty much destroyed, going into an incarcerated facility, you contend with the COs and the staff. And they're pretty aggressive. For the most part, they have a wall up between you and them, and they're not all that interested in being real good to you. They're not bad to you, but their job is to incarcerate you and keep you there, and that's all they do. They don't care much about your comfort. And then we're going in there with hundreds of fellow incarcerated individuals, not all of them are good guys. And so you kind of got,
that's true.
You kind of got both sides that you're watching your back on. And anything can happen. Anything can happen in prison. I've seen it all. I've seen it all, and it's not nice. And
now, I like to tell people you're safe at a camp. I've never seen anybody get murdered in a camp. Have you?
Yes.
Murder.
Yes.
I've seen them die.
No,
That's medical.
No, I have seen that
Oh,
on the bed next to me.
really?
I can't talk about it.
Sure. At where we were at? You can't even say that. Okay.
But a guy named Tyrone was murdered right in front of me.
Wow.
And I mean, Tyrone murdered a guy right in front of me. Tyrone murdered Michael right in front of me. Yeah, and so I'd never seen that before, and it's so I saw a lot. I don't know why I got to see a lot, but I saw a lot. And when you're getting ready to go in, just to digress backwards a little bit, you got to get ready. First you got to get your family ready, because it's horrible for your family. It's maybe worse for your family than for you. So you got to spend a lot of time with your family, getting some communication issues resolved and coming to peace with a few issues that are, still brewing. Keeping your family together before you go in is really an important thing. You need them while you're in. They need you while you're in. And when you get out, it's really important that the number one priority you have is your family and your close friends. And you'll soon realize how important that is. I mean, we take for granted our family and our friends every day. But when you don't have them,
That's true.
When you don't have them, and you may not have them when you get out, and you don't know if they're going to be there when you get out.
My father died while I was in there, so I know.
So the number one is to get healthy, because you better be healthy when you're in prison, because there's not a lot of health care.
I got a troll here.
Yeah,
Keep talking. I'm going to take that. I'll take them off if I can. I don't know how to do it. There we go. Sorry, Tom.
That's okay. So I don't know. It's you can deal with it. Like Sean said, it's tolerable. Every one of us can get through it, but it's a great time to really have a period of self-reflection. We have a lot of bad habits. We have a lot of things we believe are true about ourselves. We have a lot of illusions of ourselves. But that time for me was a very powerful time. It gave me a chance to really get honest with myself, to really look at every aspect. When you have so many hours of the day after day after day, to rerun the tape in your mind of everything that you've been through in your life, how you ended up here, and you start your mind. I mean, your mind has nothing to do, so it just starts clicking away memories and self-analytical discussions between yourself.
I forgot about that. That's like I watched a movie of my life over. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So it's great, because if you want to, you can find the original, the intended you. Habits are things that we all collect from the people around us. We collect a lot of good habits and a lot of bad habits, but we hang on to those habits with all our might, because when you see something day in and day out from friends and family, you begin to absorb that habit as your own. So we become a mixture of hundreds and maybe thousands of little habits. And what I realized was I was not really me. I was a collection of all these habits that I'd learned, that I'd absorbed through my life. And I started analyzing each of them and saying, well, I don't want that habit. That's not really who I want to be. And so in my time, I was able to really do a lot of self-reflection and analysis on me. And I think I came out much better as a person. I know I came out much better as a person. In fact, I tease myself that it's unfortunate that I waited so long in my life to go to prison. If I'd had that experience in my 30s, my life would have been much richer and much more rewarding.
Yeah.
Because what I learned in my time was a lot about myself. Now, I took it as an opportunity to make it a learning experience. I read over 200 books. You know, I worked in the library.
Yeah, and you worked in education, right?
Worked in education.
Yeah. Those two COs that ran the education, they were nutty. What were the name?
Maycheck.
Yeah, he was a good guy, right?
Yeah.
But he wasn't really. Is he more staff than correctional officer?
No, he was a CO.
He was?
He used to be on the goon squad of the
okay.
ADX.
But he seemed like a nice guy.
Well, they are all nice guys. We're all nice guys.
Yeah.
But we also have a side that's not so nice.
You might have saw any bad sides of it because you worked close to him.
Yeah. Well, not particularly with him, but just in general, you know, being a CO is an adversarial role. And so they have a role to play, and
Sure.
And that comes out often.
Right.
So many times you look at those guys and say, why are they acting that way? They're acting.
I've seen them all of a sudden switch and become a cop because they have to at certain times.
Yeah.
When we have a shakedown, or like somebody hits that panic button, or you come too close to them, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen them all of a sudden.
They're conditioned. You know, I asked one CO, you don't trust any inmates, do you? He said the first thing we learn when we go to school is you're all liars.
Right.
Don't believe one word that's ever said to you. So they have this conditioning that they think we're going to lie. And a lot of people do. And a lot of people create these illusions of who they are, and they still play tough guy. And so these COs, you know, they study us all the time. They're trained. They go to training all the time. They read about it. They go to seminars. They study on how to deal with us. We don't study on how to deal with them.
No.
You know, we just have to deal with them. So they have huge advantages over it. But, you know, they got a job to do. It's not an easy job. I wouldn't want that job. I wouldn't want anyone in my family to have that job. But, you know, somebody has to do that job. And most of them are conscientious about it, but some of them get a little carried away, and you got to expect that.
There is a channel called Tear Talk, guys, with Anthony. It's an Italian last. Anyways, he's a correctional officer, and he has a channel for him and those people. But you can learn everything about corrections if you want. It's called Tear Talk. So if you guys get a chance, that guy actually wants me to come on his channel. He's a correctional officer. I'm a little leery about going on. Buddy, I don't know if he does. No, he seems like a good guy. But see, there we go again.
Yeah, it's there's no school, there's no good book, there's no good way to learn how to deal with this or prepare for it. All you got to do is focus every day on getting more and more information. Ultimately, you're going to have to make your own decisions. You're going to have to process the information you have. Every one of us is different. Every one of our cases is different. Any one of our situation is different. So all that filtering changes the perspective on everybody and what to expect and how to deal with it. So it's tough. You're in a tough place, and you better step up. You better step up and be really conscientious and strong. No room for mild, weak, whiny. You better be strong. You better be strong for your family. Your family can't see you not be strong. Yeah, it's horribly embarrassing what you're going through. It's intimidating. But you got to be strong. Yeah, and when you get to prison, you got to be strong. And you got to be focused, and you got to watch what you're doing and learn your environment and learn about the people around you.
When you got sentenced, was it a relief?
I didn't have any relief from the day I thought it was going to happen till
No.
I still don't have any relief.
Even though you just got your paperwork that you're off for probation, you still not relief? Still a little looking over your shoulder?
You'll always look over your shoulder because you were naive before. And, you know, it's like I said, associations. I have a much smaller circle. You know, I'm much more cautious about who I engage with. I'm quick to walk away from people and situations. I now know that anybody can get you in trouble.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. You got some of those ADX stories to tell the guys? He worked at the Supermax guys in education department. Like he taught El Chapo how to read. You know, I don't know. What were we talking about today? What you had to do? What was it? Guy was reading, leaving you notes.
Oh yeah, I was
Terry Nicholson or
Terry Nichols. There was a lot of famous people in the ADX Supermax. The ADX Supermax is the most secure prison in the world. In Colorado, it's an amazing facility. I was recruited to work there. I thought it was a good job because I got off the camp for about 8 hours a day. I was locked in a very secure place with about 6 COs and about 4 inmates, and we had an amazing library. And
did they have a bigger library than we had at camp?
They had a state-of-the-art library.
Really? Wow. Well, they got the money too.
Yeah, no, the camp library, meager and old and paperbacks.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, worse. Yeah, but the ADX library is state-of-the-art. They have books, cases of books they haven't even opened. They have so many books. Yeah.
Really?
And they're all clean new books because they can't have, the books have to be reviewed by the security team at the ADX to make sure there's no coding or contraband passed through the book process. So they have a much higher level of security for books that go in and out of the library. So I was the librarian for the ADX. I coordinated the education process, some of the courses, GED, or there was about a half a dozen other special courses that they could take.
Weren't they trying to do 7 Habits for the ADX? They built the little cages, remember?
I don't know how they could do 7 Habits in the ADX because of the security.
They put those cages that came out, rolled out cages.
No, I saw those cages. They were in the gym.
Yeah.
And those cages were...
Well, they were going to do some kind of program like that. Maybe it was a drug program. I don't know, but...
I don't know how they could do it because the security level of those people,
they
don't get out of their cell maybe once a day. And there's no interaction on rare occasions. And I don't know how they could do anything other than what we did. We made copies of educational programs, would send it in. They'd fill out, take tests or quizzes, and we correct them. And it wasn't the best education because of the limitations of them being locked in their cell. They have closed circuit TV.
Right.
There
any letters they get from the outside are put on the screen of the TV, right? That's what I was told. They don't get to hold the mail in their hand. It's like photocopied and put on a TV channel that they could scroll.
Yeah, there's some of that, but we did do their mail.
Yeah. Some of them have different levels. There's a step-down unit in the ADX where they actually get to come out and sit at the same table with the guys that have 5 years or less that are getting ready to be released.
Yes.
So people do get out of the ADX. A lot of people think everybody in there's doing life. It's not true.
No, they just got the luck of the draw and put it in isolated, secure facility like the ADX Supermax. But it was an interesting job. I worked there about 18 months and was there 5 days a week. Went through intense security to go in and out.
Yeah, I did that with you. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Well, we went through 2 more.
After you guys even went further inside.
Yeah, once you go in, there's 2 more
is there?
steps of security you got to go through. So it takes about 20 minutes in and 20 minutes out just to go through the security. It's very, very, and you're always escorted by 2 to 4 officers, and you're under constant video surveillance because they're talking to people as you walk down the halls.
I didn't know you guys had more security.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And once we were in our education unit, we couldn't leave.
Right.
We were locked in there, could not leave. There's no windows. You were just there.
Oh.
But you had great books and great magazines and great newspapers.
Sure.
So I was able to avail myself of that and do a lot of reading. but I kept myself busy. That's the only way to pass the time, is find a way to do something meaningful for yourself. But yeah, it was quite an experience working in the ADX. You recognize a bunch of names, and then when you see a name that you know you've heard in the news, you research them, and there's some amazing people in there. You know, the last one being El Chapo, although I wasn't there when he arrived.
I was only there for like a month, and they took him away. I did get to make him his welcome kit. So in the food service, we give them it's a brown coffee cup, kind of made of rubber. They get that one spoon that they're gonna get, and it depends on whether it's a paper spoon or a soft spoon or whatever. Believe it or not, El Chapo got a plastic spoon, brown rubber cup, some coffee packets, and some sweet and low or whatever it was, and some tea bags. And I think that was it. And it just says it actually says "Welcome to the Supermax," something to that effect. And they give him a rule book. But I got to make his little gift package. If that's what you want to call it.
Yeah, I didn't know it at the time, but somebody I knew well in there. We were in a religious program together. He was actually on the construction crew that was reconstructing a unit specifically for El Chapo.
Oh, sure, yeah, because tunnels are his history. Yeah.
Yeah, they went in and rebuilt a whole new area within one of the pods just for El Chapo.
Sure.
But that went on for almost a year, that construction project. So, and at first they just pulled out massive amounts of concrete and rebar.
Wow.
You know, just jackhammered it out. And then they just went in, and we don't know what they did.
Yeah.
But suffice it to say, I don't think he's going to be able to escape there.
Well, we used to have ideas how to escape, but it all had to do with inside, be an inside job. But you hide him in the food cart and get him out that way. But there's cameras everywhere. Several of the guards that have to be in on it. But it's not working.
Well, when any one inmate is transferred, like to the medical unit at the ADX, there are 8 guards on that one inmate.
Sure.
Plus they shut down the entire facility when there's any transport going on.
Oh, that's right, that recall.
Yeah, so that whole facility is shut down, and then they transfer them from their unit, DEX, all the various units they had, to the medical facility, and pretty much it's shut down until he's back in his unit. So,
Yeah, I remember all
so
that.
the security is immense, and when we had to do things like go to the storage room or go pick up things in various parts, we had a whole detail following us. So it was an interesting experience. I'm not sure why I got chosen for that, but it was enjoyable. Enjoyable in terms of spending some much more interesting time and peaceful time, because it was, in the end, it was just me and one other inmate, and then 6 COs in the education department.
Sure. Yeah, how we doing on time?
We're at 43 minutes.
Okay. All right. Why don't we get some questions here? Let me see. I don't know who that troll was. There's a few people in the room. Any questions, guys, out there? I know I just threw this on at the last minute, but people will watch it after. So how about some advice, Tom, for people getting ready to get sentenced and people getting ready to self-surrender? You got some advice for their judgment day?
Well, I said earlier, spend as much time with your family as you can and your friends, because you're going to be so lonely. You're going to miss people you didn't even think you liked. And they need that time before you leave them, because like I said, I think it's hard on them, if not harder than on you. I mean, you're locked down in a facility. You're getting, 3 meals a day. You're going to recreation. You're getting to go to church, go to read. You're basically in a warehouse. There's not a lot of, but they're still out there having to deal with everyone. They have to face everybody. They have the humiliation of what's gone on. It's really tough for them. So, help them understand that. Make sure they know how much you care about them, and make sure they know how much you want to come back and make it up to them for what they've gone through, and then get healthy. I mean, you don't want to be sick in prison. Yeah, there's medical facilities, but when there's 500-600 people in a unit every day, 50 or more of them are sick, and those that I saw that got real sick, that's not where you want to be.
No,
real sick.
I've seen people real sick, and we're only taking the first 3 today. The rest of you, we don't care. And sometimes they're closed. You get sick on a weekend, you get really bad. It's closed. Medical's.
Yeah, we're spoiled. We're spoiled about medical treatment. We complain about it, but when you don't have it, you'll appreciate it. And so get healthy, lose weight.
Walk that track.
Start exercising, start walking. 3, 4, 5 miles a day. Continue that when you get there. The best thing you can do is walk is a couple hours a day while you're there. Get healthy. Figure out what you want to change in your life. Make sure you get a lot of books. I was fortunate. I had over 200 books mailed into me. I was able to have friends and family, and I could pick a book and have it in 10 days or 2 weeks.
Now, when you were done with all those books, did you donate them to the library there, or give them to other inmates, or did you take them back home with you?
Took them back home.
Really? How come?
Well,
Because of my books?
No, I have a big library at
Did you
home.
think about donating them to the
I have a
library?
big library at home, and I wasn't finished with the books, and they're still resource books. Because I was buying educational books. I read some fiction books, but for the most part,
So these are books that probably people would have just sat on the shelf.
Yeah. I set out on a course to research some business planning concepts that I want to deploy, and so I had a lot of books sent in on that, and so they're part of my business planning library today, and I still am working on those books.
Okay.
Yeah, so find a mission while you're in there. You can sit around and be in the warehouse. I answer this one.
Okay. Well, maybe we can wrap it up. We can do another one like on Thursday or something, Tom, and on Zoom or something if you're
Sure.
whatever. We got things to do tonight. I'm going Wings for Life is why I'm here, guys. I had a job offer, and I'm finding out what Wings for Life is all about. Tom, maybe you can tell people in a few words what Wings for Life does for people. What's their mission?
Well, they are one of the few organizations in New Mexico that really understands what families are going through. So they've always been real good about communicating with your family, making sure they have food and clothing, making sure that your children have group activities where they give away tons of toys and bikes and clothes and books. They used to have dinners before COVID. Now they're doing a Zoom YouTube program every Monday night, but they're largely about your family, pre-sentencing while you're incarcerated and when you're getting out under probation. So they're a great resource for families. So you want to make sure before you get in there that your family is engaged in the Wings program. Ann, who runs that program, ANNEdenfield Suite, she's a very dedicated, hardworking woman. She's started this program about 25 years ago. So that's where Sean's here, contemplating going to work for Wings because he has this great heart for helping. Nobody cares about us, it seems, when you get out, but you sure need a lot of resources, and you need to have a place to get them. There's a lot of programs out there, but there's a gap between the programs and really helping you. And there's a sort of a bias on both sides on how to engage those programs. And so Sean and I are going to try to bridge that gap and create a more seamless system of assisting people pre-trial, even while you're incarcerated and when you're out on probation. We're involved in another program through a religious organization called Thresholds that actually does a one-on-one mentoring program for returning citizens. They call people who get out of prison returning citizens. So that's a term you probably haven't heard, but you might get used to. It sounds better than felons.
Yeah, formerly incarcerated, ex-felon, ex-con, fresh out, whatever. But yeah, returning citizen. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks, guys, for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Leave some more comments down there. Tom watches the channel all the time. He can answer them from his YouTube computer. You know what I mean? So, you know, guys, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. See you in the next video. I had that troll in there writing all the Chinese.